This is Wilson Morales from BlackFilm.com talking to Miss Viola Davis, who has an upcoming film called Won't Back Down. It's a new film. You're playing Nona Alberts. How would you describe her character?
I would describe her as a woman who has lost her passion, lost her mojo when you first meet her. She's lost her passion for teaching, her marriage. I think she loves her child, but she feels even distant from him. She is in a place in her life where she kind of is disillusioned. And then slowly, as the idea of starting the school is presented to her, you see her come back to life again.
This is a story about the education system and what it's happening now. What was the appeal of doing this?
I didn't see it as a movie about the educational system, even though, yes, it is the backdrop of the movie as much as the Catholic Church was a backdrop to doubt. But really, for me, the story was about two women who were taking control of an important part of their lives. They were understanding that they could make a difference in a system and in the world, that they could be the change that they wanted to see in the world. Two women tapping into their power.
Like any other movie, is this a movie that you had to do research in regards to a woman being married who has issues, or someone who's a teacher going through problems on her own?
First of all, because I'm married, I didn't feel like I had to do research on a married woman. And motherhood, I was in the throes of adopting my child at the time. And as far as the educational system, I did do some research because the model for my character was my sister, Dolores, who's taught in the Central Falls High School public school system for 20 years. She's a high school teacher, English teacher, and she's a great teacher. To me, she is Nona. But because I'm such an advocate of education, if you know anything about me, it's been a part of my life, my entire life. I know that environment. I wanted to put a realistic human face on the teacher. And oftentimes when you see the teacher presented on the screen, they're overly heroic. They come in and they change the school within 24 hours. You know, they're like Hercules almost. But I wanted to show a real teacher. A teacher who's can be weighed down by not just the system, but by life. And how all of that can interfere in what they do.
You have a lot of amazing actors in this movie that you're working with. Can you talk about working with Maggie Gyllenhaal and Holly Hunter and Marianne Jean-Baptiste? And the list goes on. There's a lot of people in this movie that people are familiar with.
The thing about it, working with great actors like Maggie and Holly and Marianne Jean-Baptiste is, and Rosie Perez, is that they make you better. They make you better as an actor. They make it easier for you to do what you do. And you are a better actor when you leave the project. And also because they're such smart, vocal women. I just feel like, I get smarter too. Being around them, being in their presence.
Mm-hmm. Now, Daniel Barnes is new to at least the film community. What did you learn from him outside from what you've learned from other directors you've worked with?
What I've learned from him is probably what I've known all along, but I don't get often, is that what we do is a collaborative process. It's not just the director's medium or the producer's medium. It is the culmination of what the director, the producer, the cinematographer, the actor does, and the writer that creates the final project. I think oftentimes when people see a piece, the only person that takes, the hit for a good or bad movie is the actor. And we have to understand that it's a culmination of all these artists working together, and he understood that. He was into the collaboration and understanding that we played a part in it, and it's not just a dictatorship.
One of the things of the film that someone said to me while we were watching the movie is that some of the little things that stood out, like the nails and the colorful outfits you were wearing on different scenes. What was one of the joys of, while you were shooting this movie?
I think a lot of times with African American artists, just actors in general. I think people always feel like we work in broad strokes all the time. That in order for people to kind of be interested in what we do, that we have to play really bold characters who are going through really tragic circumstances, and every scene we've got to blow it out of the box. Whereas for me, in my opinion, that we as people, as African Americans, that we're interesting in everything that we do, in all of our idiosyncrasies, in our subtleties and colors. And I found it really, really interesting to create a human being and a creator in small strokes. And after all the strokes were done, that you saw this whole human being that you could recognize. And I think that we as Black artists, even though the bold strokes are fabulous too, that I feel like I really want to move in that direction.
This has been an amazing last few years for you. You have now 2 nominations. How has this recent nomination been different from the last one? Are you getting leading role scripts? Are you getting scripts right away in terms of like the character? What is it, how has it worked for you?
First of all, it's totally different from After Doubt. Completely different. Yes, I do get more scripts. A lot more scripts. And it's definitely changed my life in terms of my profile. I still am in search of the fabulous narratives, the fantastic narratives, the narratives that I feel like are deserving not just of my talent, but of the talent of all the actors and artists of colors that I've met in my 25-year journey. And what it's helped me to do is create my production company with my husband, acquire material, and at least be able to get through the door of these studios and present them with this material with the hopes that they understand that there is a deficit in terms of our stories being told and the expansiveness of our stories. But so that's changed.
How close are we to Barbara Jordan getting on the screen or going into production?
We'll see. We're trying to get the script just right. I believe that we're close. That's what my hope is. Mm-hmm. I am a person who went through 5 years of undergraduate school with a major in theater. I went to 4 years of Juilliard, 6 weeks of Circle in the Square, Lord knows how many actor, trainer kind of schools, or training type of schools, because I was interested in excellence.
You've got a couple of films coming up. One that's trailer was just released, Beautiful Creatures.
Yes.
How much fun was shooting that film, and what's your role in it?
I play a seer called Amma, who is the friend of Ethan Alden, the lead character's mother, who has passed. And I'm presented as a librarian, friend of his deceased mother. But as the film goes along, you see that I do have special powers of being able to channel the spirits of people who have passed along. And I'm also the keeper of the history and the secrets of the town. And I'll be interested to know what people think of it.
And next year we have Ender's Game, which I believe is based on a book.
Based on the book.
Did you get a chance to read it?
I did not read it. I did not read the book. And I did not read all of the book for Beautiful Creatures also, because the director forbade us to read the book, even though I read half of it and I put it down, because the character of Amma in the book is the combination of Marion and Amma. And in this on screen, it's a combination of 2 characters from the book. And in Ender's Game, in the book, Major Anderson is actually a male. So by the time it made it, I just felt like this is a different character. And I didn't feel like I could learn anything from reading the book as much as I could learn something from kind of studying the psychology of people who have come back from war and have experienced post-traumatic stress disorder. And I thought that that was much more valuable for me.
I saw some set photos of the disappearance of Eleanor Rigby.
Yes.
You're working with Jessica again.
Yeah.
You know, is it a more easier relationship because it's the second time you're working together?
It's an easier relationship because of who she is. Because she's an artist, she is a beautiful human being. She appreciates other artists. And being able to work with Ned Benson, who's the writer-director, it was a labor of love for people and not kind of a project for profit. So everybody did it because they were in love with the script. And it's shot in New York. This is the best place in the world to work. That's what made it easy.
So outside of the Barbara Jordan projects, what do you want to do next? Like if you had to choose a role outside of, like different genre, what do you want to do next? Or do you have anything else coming up next?
I have a ton of other scripts that we're trying to develop, and actually they have a common thread because they're all historical characters. And I remember an actress friend of mine said that every time she saw a movie on screen that had Caucasian characters and it was a historical movie, she always wondered, she's an African American actress, she always wondered, so what were we doing then? Where were we? And I think that all of the scripts that I'm developing, I think answers that question. This is what we were doing. This is who we were. As well as a romantic comedy placed in there, but a smart one, because I think that's the only kind of romantic comedy that's going to have me in it. And I don't have one thing I want to see myself in. It's a lot of things. I'm an artist. There's no limit to my imagination.
Is there a film that you did in the past, now that you've gotten this newfound fame, because you're more familiar to a lot more people now, that you think people should go back and revisit?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. Oh goodness, I don't know.
Something that you think you did well in, but you don't think maybe at the time it wasn't marketed well or didn't do well at the box office, but now that people know who you are, let's take a look at that.
You know what? The only things that I've ever done, it's not a film, it's a television show I did. Law and Order Criminal Intent. I played a serial killer in Badge. That was the episode. And I really liked that character. I liked that character because I felt that I always feel like I could be better. So I never feel that, oh, I did a great job, I want to revisit that again. I always felt like I could have done it better. But I felt that, listen, I don't see a lot of serial killers who are black females on the big screen or the small screen. And I thought it was interesting and bold for the producers and the writers of Law and Order to venture out and create this character who was a mother, wanted the best for her children, and kind of went in the wrong direction.
The last two things I'll ask is, any chance of going back to theater? And at the end of the day, why should anyone see Won't Back Down?
Absolutely a chance to go back to the theater. I will absolutely go back to the theater in the right role when I'm ready to have more strength. And I think people should see Won't Back Down because I think that it will inspire them to become activists. And that's why.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.